guys, Shreyaan here, and the WWDC keynote is over. This year, Apple decided to go with the pre-recorded WWDC keynote, which still, as always, looks great. I'll have it linked down in the description if you guys want to check it out. So, in WWDC, Apple announced iOS 14, macOS Big Sur, watchOS 7, iPadOS 14, and tvOS, and the long-awaited transition from Intel Macs to Apple Silicon Macs. Now let's start with iOS 14. iOS 14 brings a completely new and redesigned home screen. iOS 14 now adds widgets, an app library, a new search field, and picture-in-picture mode. Let's dig in, starting with the home screen. Today's home screen works great, but as we get more and more apps, we can end up with this, lots and lots of pages. And we tend to forget what's beyond the couple. Well, this year, Apple came out with something called App Library. It's a new space at the end of your home screen pages that automatically organize all your apps. And there's also a way to hide pages from your home screen using a method Apple is calling jiggle mode. You can enter jiggle mode by tapping the dots on the bottom and get a zoomed out view of all your app pages. Now let's move on to widgets. So this year, Apple finally added widgets. For now, only Apple apps have widgets, but as more developers get onto iOS 14, there will be many more. Now comes iPadOS 14. iPadOS 14 is going to get all the updates from iOS 14, plus some features native to iPad only. iPadOS now adds a feature called Scribble, so you can write into any text field and it will automatically be converted into text. Also, if you draw a shape using the Apple Pencil, it will be converted into a proper shape. Now, it's time to talk about watchOS 7. This year, watchOS is adding many new features. For example, sharing watch faces with friends and families, 20-second hand washing timer, sleep tracking, etc. Now, let's talk about macOS Big Sur. Yes, now it is the end of macOS X, which has been going on since 2002. In macOS Big Sur, Apple has refined macOS a lot, so much that it looks like it was made for the iPad. macOS Big Sur also brings new icon design, remastered sounds, new widgets, new UI, and completely redesigned apps. Also, now you can use memojis in messages on Mac. Safari is also getting an update with new privacy settings and better permission settings. Now, let's move on to the biggest news of WWDC 2020. The transition on Mac from Intel to Apple Silicon. Yes, Apple used this year's WWDC to announce this big transition. Now, Apple said they made this transition to Apple Silicon so their customers can get the most amount of performance with the least power usage. That being said, Apple also said they will have an Intel Mac coming up soon also. With Apple Silicon Mac, you can run any iOS or iPadOS app on Mac because now they will be hosted on the same architecture. All the demos you saw in WWDC this year were hosted on a Mac running on a A12Z Bionic chip. Apple has had their own chip in their products since the original iPad and iPhone 4. If you want an Apple Silicon Mac, you can apply for the Developer Transition Kit to get a Mac Mini with a A12Z SoC, 512 gig SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, and Mac I/O ports. I will have linked to the entire WWDC livestream and download links for the latest developer beta for all platforms in the description below. Apple said that the first Apple Silicon Mac would come out by the end of this year and that the transition will take about 2 years. If you want to support the channel, a sub would be massively appreciated. Thank you for watching and catch you guys in the next one.